So it's just after 3 and we are on stage very soon. So we are heading back to the Freedom to Go stand to do our speech.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free.
So this morning we are at the Motorhome and Caravan Show here in Birmingham at the NEC, and today is day 1 of the show. It's Tuesday morning. We are just heading into the show. We're a little bit late. There was terrible traffic on the M54 this morning.
And an accident. So hopefully everyone was all right.
Accident. And the first step this morning is to go and find our media passes so we can get into the show. Is that what they said, love, here? Or?
Well, she said 18. Yeah, 18.
Wrong door. So we're all armed with our press passes, and what a way to start the day. We bumped into one of our followers, Mark, who has very kindly bought us a coffee. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
And we actually met Mark here 2 years ago, before our madness even started.
Absolutely, yeah. It was your camera that I spotted.
There you go.
I've got the same camera, so let's have a little chat with him.
There you go.
And,
not my good looks, obviously.
No, it wasn't your good looks, it was your charm, it was your charisma. It was your camera that I spotted. I thought, I like the look of that.
Honesty is the best policy.
So I think we're going for a really good day.
Oh my god.
So if you stand up straight,
Yeah.
feet
Oh
in your
my
belly.
god.
Yes,
It's all
it is.
wobbling. Oh, yeah, baby. I want one. And if Trudy was a little bit bigger and it was USB charged, I would have one. That would be one of my luxury essential items to travel the world.
So although we're not actually planning on buying huge amounts at the show, one of the things that we are interested in is getting some kind of upgraded mattress, because although the mattress in Trudy is comfortable and she's sprung, living in the van and driving around the world for 2 years on bumpy roads and everything else is going to really test us. So it's really important to have a good night's sleep. So maybe we can find a good mattress whilst we're here at the NEC this week. Spend all day here.
This might be the best part of the show.
Welcome to the NEC. So what's amazing, as we're walking around, we've come across the spinny stand, and for those of you that have been following us for a long time, you will know that we actually found Trudy in Spinny Motorhomes up in Cheshire. And here they are. So we've just stopped by to say hi to them and to tell them that one of their vans is going to go driving around the world.
I feel like I'm cheating on Trudy. I'm looking at a Fiat Ducato twin with a fixed bed like Trudy. It's very nice.
This is the same as Trudy. I'm liking the clear window at the front.
Yeah.
But doing what we do, wild camping and everything like that, that would definitely get scratched, and that's why we put a sticker on Trudy, just to get rid of all the scratches, so I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
So we're actually on the Freedom to Go stand later this afternoon at about 3:45, so we just thought we would go and see the stage that we're going to be on.
the autumn.
This is a Kentucky, and actually, growing up, my dad had a Kentucky, and we used to all go off on family holidays, and it is huge. It's got a lovely double bed there, it's got a shower room, this is an entire bathroom. In fact, their bathroom is the same size as our living area in Trudy.
Plenty of headspace in here.
Absolutely.
I have a whale. I love whales. And we're actually at the whale stand at the NEC today, and these guys actually linked up with us when we first started and offered support, and they are all so lovely. And they're from Bangor in Northern Ireland, which is not far from our friends the Chunky Dunkers in Donegal. So hello ladies and gents. So we've got a whale, and that's going to go in Trudy, and they were saying to us if we could take a photograph of the whale in obscure places. So I've offered Kazakhstan, Mongolia. Is that obscure enough? So I got a thumbs up, so it's gonna happen.
So it's just after 3 and we are on stage very soon. So we are heading back to the Freedom to Go stand to do our speech.
Yeah.
How you feeling, love?
Feeling absolutely fine. It's towards the end of the day, and there's a chef spot just before us and a chef spot just after us.
There you go.
So I'm hoping we attract a few people, if nothing but for the food.
They'll be hungry, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see you on the stage.
Okay, so after 30 years of hard graft, they cashed it all in for the open road. Don't we all wish we'd done that? We're going to find out exactly what that entails. Please welcome Tread the Globes, Chris and Marianne.
Everybody, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us this afternoon, and welcome to the NEC. I am obviously Marianne, and this is Chris, my husband, and we have a beautiful camper van called Trudy, which is our home.
So we are actually planning to drive around the world starting in January 2020. Because going to Spain wasn't good enough for us, we thought we'd go completely off the rails, and the map here will show you roughly the route that we are planning to take. But before we get to that, we want to take you all the way back to the beginning on how the ultimate midlife crisis happened. Life was good. We've got a nice 6-bedroom house. We had good jobs. I was a catering manager for the NHS.
I also worked for the NHS. I was the secretary in the operating theatres.
The house was paid off, the mortgage was all paid off, a very fortunate position, 30 years of hard work, and we found ourselves in a nice home, going to work to pay the bills, to support the lifestyle that we've become accustomed to.
Yeah, the kids are grown up, left home. I'm not going to deny there was a little bit of that with the last one, but yes, at the age of 30, they've all left home. Yay!
And then we hit a point in our life where some life-changing events made us realise that actually we weren't young anymore, we weren't going to live forever.
Speak for yourself.
I lost a couple of my friends. One of them died from a heart attack in his mid-40s, another one died in a plane crash learning to fly. Marianne's best friend was diagnosed with kidney failure and was given 2 years to live if she didn't get a kidney. So Marianne amazingly donated a kidney to her best friend.
I had two.
And she is, you'll be pleased to know, doing absolutely fabulous. But that makes you stop and realise, you know, what is the purpose of our life? Why are we, well, I'm getting a bit deep now, but, you know, we're going to work to pay the bills, and I've got this wonderful house, but there must be more to life than doing the 9-5 grind every day. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. The doctor wanted to put me on blood pressure tablets, and I just thought, do you know what? How do we fulfill our dream? So we asked ourselves 3 very key questions here. What would we do if we won the lottery? After all, if you got unlimited money, what would you do? And we answered,
travel!
And then we thought, what do we want to do when we retire? So after all, you're only working,
Yeah.
so you can afford to stop work to do what you really want to do.
Yeah,
And we
for
both answered.
Yeah, travel.
And then what would we do if we had diagnosed that we only had a couple of years to live, like our friend, and we decided that we would
Travel.
So that is exactly what we did. So we set ourselves a bit of a mad challenge.
Yeah, we did. We actually decided, because we've always worked really hard, we'd like to keep ourselves busy, so we needed to set ourselves a challenge for us, something that we could achieve or try. So we decided to set foot in every country in the world before we die, or die trying.
Yeah, and some of you I know are going to say, but how are you going to go to Syria? Yeah, it's a valid question.
Yeah.
We're not planning to do that this week. In 20 years' time, who knows, Syria might be a place that you can travel. So
Yeah,
we live
it's a long goal.
We
It's
live
a
in
long time
we live
goal.
in hope. So next came the challenge of choosing our van, and some of you might be here today looking at a new van or a new motorhome.
Yeah.
Well, if you're anything like me, I went from a 6-bedroom house, and I was now looking at trying to replicate it in some kind of motorhome, and I was looking at things that were pretty well bus size. It had to have a bed, it had to have an
Yeah.
ensuite, did it have a kitchen, a dining room? I was trying to get it all in.
And obviously, as Chris is my boy toy, he didn't have a license that would allow him to drive anything bigger than a 3.5 ton. And
I took
although
my
I do
licence.
most of the driving, because I love driving, if anybody watches our YouTube channel, most of the driving is done by me, but that's because I love driving, and Chris is busy sticking his head out the window with cameras and does all the film editing. So it's not because he's a drink driver and he can't drive, it's because I love it and I'm a bit of a control freak.
And
if
to be
truth be
honest,
told.
Marianne in a car park would get lost with the sat
Yeah,
nav.
too. Can't navigate. Can't
so-
navigate at all.
So we ended up looking for the extremes of vans. We went from the largest to talking about getting an estate car with a tent.
Yeah.
And we settled with a 6-metre van. It's got a ring to
Yeah.
it. 6-bedroom house to a 6-metre van.
In fact, I have to give a shout out to Spinney, because we actually bought our van from one of the Spinney outlets.
And they are here
here
today.
actually. We saw one of the guys that worked there.
So meet Trudy. Very discreet.
Very discreet, covert even. And people have said to us, why have you done this? Why have you put stickers all over her and told everybody about your adventure? And I think part of that was because before we got involved in vanning, camping, travelling around in a van, we saw white vans parked up in places, and although we could see, because we were looking into vans, that they were vans, they had the little roof lights on the top and they had the side windows, and when they opened we could see it, some people become incredibly suspicious of a van parked at the end of a road or down the side of a road, and we do a lot of wild camping.
Yeah, to be honest, actually having the van branded has given us so many opportunities, because it's a definite conversation starter.
Yeah.
Which is going down the motorway, we get waves from everybody, you can't miss it. So then came the job of actually emptying our house, and that is a photograph of me in my garage, and I'm sure some of you have garages that look like that. And it actually took me a year to sell everything we own and to decorate the house ready for letting. So for those of you that want to know, we have sold literally everything apart from the van. Everything we own is contained in that van, but we have kept our house.
Yes.
We've worked 30 years to pay for that house, and that is our asset for us and for our kids, and it gives us a steady income. So it's rented out, and we get a nice sum from the people renting our house every month, which enables us to do what we are doing. But yeah, every car boot sale we were in fact the charity shops at one point said we can't take any more, Chris, it's just ridiculous.
They did actually.
Carload after carload went down to the thing, and that's a big thing, changing your lifestyle that dramatically, because I found everything. I don't know whether you're like me, you've got a juicer that you bought on your New Year's resolution, you open the cupboard and you think, oh my god, it's still there, it's still in the box, I've never used it. And you realise that your house is full of a lot of these things.
Stuff. In fact, it is all just stuff for us.
So we headed and we hit the road in May 2018, and we've been travelling ever since. And this actual picture, we set off. We went to Ireland. Ireland was our first stop, and we'll talk a little bit more about Ireland a little bit later. But our first stop was Ireland, and
We chose this photo actually because
yeah, I'm very organised. For those of you that know me or you follow our channel, I'm very organised. I'm the one that I had a management job. I like everything to be in its place. But obviously,
spreadsheets.
world of camping and being free, as Marianne says, is a whole nother level. So we found ourselves on a ferry to Belfast. We took the night ferry because it was cheaper and we weren't working, so every penny counts now. And we were on the ferry. We got off in Belfast at 2 o'clock in the morning, and where do you go?
Well, whilst we're on the boat, actually, to backtrack, whilst we're on the boat, Chris has got his laptop out and he's linked to the free Wi-Fi on the boat and he's looking for a parking spot.
I was looking at Google Earth to try and find a parking spot.
For this wild, free camping that we're going to do, we've now suddenly turned into hippies and we're just going to be free and go off into the sunset. And I was like, no, put the laptop away. We have to just go into the darkness. We'll avoid light pollution. We'll find a beautiful
and we did
nearby.
that. We did that. We drove all traffic this way. Let's just keep going. And we were literally going down the motorway, and I'm going, which direction are we going, love? And she's like, it's dark over there, head that way.
Let's go to the darkness. And
So-
this is where we ended up.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning, we were driving around, and I'm like, I'm just stopping wherever now. And
Yeah.
I don't know whether any of you have done your wild camping, but this is not an ideal
This is
wild
how not to
camping
do it.
spot.
Yes, our heads
It's by a road, it's outside somebody's house, it's near a junction,
Yeah.
and it was uneven. We all woke up with neck ache and backache and everything.
Dreadful.
And everything else.
Planning.
So we went to Ireland originally for a wedding, and we had planned to spend 3 weeks catching up with friends who were getting married in Donegal, and we stayed there for 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
And I have to say, we went to 18 countries over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And Ireland, honestly, was the most beautiful place.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you haven't done vanning or motorhoming or caravanning, whatever you do, go to Ireland because it is absolutely stunning.
It is phenomenal. We had the best time ever. We did the Wild Atlantic Way, and we just saw the most beautiful places. I think you've got, if you click the button, there you go. We literally,
These are some of the spots we just decided to sleep for the night.
you could literally just park up and sleep. The best wild camping place on the planet. Everyone, they are just so beautiful. Everyone was welcoming. The sights, the vistas were just beautiful. And then come the evening, we were just treated to some of the most spectacular sunsets. And in fact, we were on the Kilkee Cliffs, weren't we?
We
and
were,
we saw
yeah.
dolphins
Jumping. Yeah.
Now, I've never seen that before. It was just absolutely phenomenal, and it was so easy.
The Wild Atlantic Way, which basically runs all the way down the west coast of Ireland, it's so well signposted. You can go there. It doesn't really matter on the size of your. A lot of people have said to me, "Can you go in a motorhome? Are the roads really small?" I would say that most of the Wild Atlantic Way is doable in any motorhome. There are some areas where they have signs that sort of say,
Connors Pass is one
caution,
that
very narrow road, and respect those signs, because the roads in some places, if you go off the Wild Atlantic Way to some of the sites, are very small. We came across quite a few American tourists, and we spoke to some of them who we ended up reversing probably about half a mile to let this car go past, because this poor American tourist, bless them, it was in the car like that,
White knuckle ride.
shaking on the wrong side of the road, obviously because they're used to
much bigger roads, and obviously on the wrong side, the steering wheel was on the wrong side. This poor guy was literally, it was a white knuckle ride.
So if you do go to Ireland, we'll give you a couple of tips. Things like some of the tourist attractions, like the Giant's Causeway, like the Cliffs of Moher, they're actually free. The only thing you pay for is the parking, €10 per person at the Giant's Causeway when we went there. But there's a hotel next door. If you park at the hotel, buy a cup of coffee, you get to walk to the Giant's Causeway free of charge. And
or out of hours as well.
out of hours after the official car park closes. In the summer, we wandered down there at sort of 8-9 o'clock at night, still daylight. There's nobody around, and the parking was actually free of charge. Same with the Cliffs of Moher. The car park is quite expensive. We went after it closed at, I think it was 7 o'clock at night. We actually slept in the car park. There's loads of motorhomes that sleep in the car park there. They all come out of the woodworks, park there when it closes, and then you go and wander and enjoy the sights. Coaches, obviously parts of Ireland are very touristy, like the Ring of Kerry. The Ring of Kerry, if you do the Ring of Kerry, all of the coaches go anti-clockwise. So if you go clockwise, you're going to be coming face to face with every coach that's doing the trip that day. And they tend to set off at 9. If you set off, we found that if you set off a little bit later, you're behind all the coaches on the touristy parts, and then you've got the roads more to yourself.
And although the coach drivers you come face to face with are fantastic and really friendly and accommodating, so it's not scary.
Don't rush, you know, enjoy Ireland. It's absolutely beautiful. And wild camp, you know, a lot of people are nervous about wild camping. We had no problems. We have wild camped since we started, actually, and that's just because of our situation, but we've really enjoyed wild camping. The locals have no problems, they come down, buy you a couple of Guinnesses.
But it's also important to actually contribute to the community, so although you're not necessarily staying at a campsite maybe, we'd actually dip into the campsites and use their emptying the grey water, emptying our toilets, maybe using the laundrette, and also shopping at all the local shops, using the local markets, so still contributing to that economy. So it's not all about taking advantage of anywhere or anybody. So that's important.
Bins is a funny tip. Actually, there's a law in Ireland, there's a household tax, so they've taken away all of the public bins. In 90% of the places, you can't find a bin to throw your rubbish. So if you go to the supermarket and do your shopping, if you're not on a campsite and you're wild camping, put your rubbish in the bin at the shop itself, because you probably won't find a bin on the Wild Atlantic Way at all. Laundries and showers, Apple Green service stations have free showers. And some of the campsites you can actually pay. We pay to go and empty our waste, or just to use some of their facilities, do your washing, and then
even some pubs, when we stopped off and had lunch, some of the pubs that had campsite spots and hookup spots actually had walk-in and you sort of like coin dispense showers and things, so that was really helpful for us with the wild camping.
And the last one, beware of the locals.
Beware.
Is actually true, because when you get to know the locals in Ireland, one, you won't want to leave, and two, if you start talking to them in the pub, you've got real trouble getting out.
We had the best time ever. They love storytellers, they love to hear your stories, they love to tell stories, and we just met some of the best people, literally, lifelong friends.
So as I said before when I started talking, we are planning to leave the UK on the first Saturday in January, and we are going to be doing a 44,000 mile trip around the world, which is the red route on that map.
Might need to sit down.
We've been planning it for the last few months, and it's a lot to plan, actually. There's a lot to plan, visas and things like that. But the plan is we're leaving in January, and because January is cold, we are heading straight south to the bottom of France, across the top of Italy.
Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, into Greece, then along into Turkey, up into Georgia, then into Russia, and then we'll dip into Kazakhstan, back into Russia, into Mongolia, back into Russia, around above China, because it's too expensive for us to go through China at this point. We will in the future tackle it, and then get to Vladivostok, where we'll ship Trudy to South Korea, and then she'll go on a ship to Australia, and during that 5 or 6 week shipping time, we're going to take our backpacks, go to Malaysia and Borneo and Singapore, hang out there for a couple of weeks whilst we're waiting for her to arrive in Australia, and then we're going to fly to Australia, pick her up, and do a little bit of Australia. It's only that big on a map.
Yeah, it looks
honestly,
really small.
It's only that big.
It's not that big. And then, we're shipping it to the bottom of the States, driving up to Alaska, and then across Canada before shipping it home. We think it's going to take about 20 months. We've got to go in accordance to the weather and visas and everything else. And actually, it says 87 days there, but actually today I think we're on 80 days. And it's going far too quickly.
We have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, share, watch the adverts.
We're basically, we're going to share all of the trip. There isn't actually a series that we found on YouTube. I know Charlie Borman and Ewan McGregor did the long way round. We're doing the longer way round without a support crew. So, and I'm not a mechanic, if anybody's got that question. So if we break down, it's going to be an interesting episode. So that gives you a little insight into
Yeah.
what we do and what we've done.
Yeah. I think rather than talking at you now, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask us about the world trip, or we also went backpacking around Central America. We left our van in Hampshire and we went backpacking in Central America for 5 months, or how we earn our money or anything like that, feel free to ask us questions. We're
So,
more than happy.
has anyone got it out? Right, we'll start at the front here. No.
Hi, Alan Honey. Are there any countries that are particularly difficult to get visas to go into?
Found out, I spoke to the Mongolian embassy and said, we're going to go to Mongolia, how do we arrange it, can we come to London, and how soon before we go can we get it? And they said 45 days before you enter Mongolia you can get your visa, and I was like, but I'm not going to be in England.
We'll be
and he
in
said,
Russia
well,
by then.
Russia, and he said, well, go to Moscow, and I was like, but Moscow's that far on the map, and I think that's a few hours. Then he said, Rome, are you near Italy? And I was like, it's still a bit far. So we've actually worked out a plan. We're going to go to Nur Sultan in Kazakhstan and find the Mongolian consulate, and in some kind of
And
Google
hopefully-
Translate, flashing the money and a big smile, we're hoping that we get it sorted in time to go into Mongolia whilst the visa for Russia is running out, because as soon as you hit visa, the stop clock starts. So there are going to be issues, and that's one of the reasons we're sharing it, because we have loads of messages saying, but what about this, what about this? And we have to
don't know all the
say,
answers
we don't
yet.
know all the
Yeah.
answers. We haven't done it yet, but as we go on that journey and as we, manage these things, we're going to share it. In fact, Chris has organised on the videos, we're going to have a diary cam bit where no doubt one of us will be crying at some point saying,
Yeah.
why have we done this?
And all
but
of our finances, if people are interested, I do a monthly blog post on our website where I share how much we earn from our house,
Yeah.
how much we earn from YouTube, how much our cost of living is, because a lot of people have said if we want to do it, because no YouTubers share that information, or very few.
Yeah.
So we want to be as open and honest, so people, if
Yeah.
anybody else wants to go completely mad, then feel free.
You picked a good word there, mad.
Yes, man. Midlife crisis, I don't
Somebody over here had a question. Yeah, here we go. Let's come up here. Hey, hello.
Hi,
Andy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, basically you said about shipping the van over to Australia. Have you booked that ferry yet?
Because we don't know, when we're going to get there. It's going to be done as we arrive. So to Australia, we're shipping it from Vladivostok in Russia
Oh, you are, right.
Via
via South Korea.
Yeah.
Because there isn't, as far as I know, there isn't a direct one. We've also got a bit of confusion that Trudy is literally, whether or not she fits in a container or she's on a roll-on, roll-off
Yeah.
shipping. But yeah, so from South Korea and then from
Yeah,
Australia.
I found a very helpful guy from Lynx called Yuri, and Lynx is the name of the shipping company.
In Vladivostok.
And I've been messaging him, and he said literally, it's as relaxed as this. Turn up, we'll have a chat.
And then you leave it in Bonn. You leave it in Bonn.
He is
Yeah.
having a breakdown because this is not working on his spreadsheet. I'm like, yeah. So you know that picture of the camper van on an angle where we woke up with a headache? That's what's going to happen, I'm sure. But we'll share that.
So you're not going with the van. It's just
No,
in
you
shipping.
can't. It's
you
on
can't.
the shipping. You can't. You have to fly.
No,
so we'll,
okay.
yeah, we'll fly out.
Wish you luck.
Thank you. Very exciting.
Hello there, Mike.
Hi,
How
Mike.
scheduled is it? You're going to go...
There's chunks of scheduling.
Yes.
So actually we're meeting family in Malaysia in August.
Yeah.
So the plan is to get to Malaysia for August. So we've got 8 months to get to Malaysia.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is due to, one, the visas, and two, the weather forecast, because obviously we can't hit Alaska in the winter.
Yeah.
So we're trying to time it so that we get to Alaska in spring. So we've
Yeah.
got the spring and summer to enjoy Alaska and Canada.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a small amount of pressure to get from A to B at some
Yes,
point.
and if it goes wrong, it just takes another year.
We have had the discussion of actually, can we decant everything from Trudy into an estate car if she blows up or
And we'll
something
just-
happens?
we'll buy a
just
car
have
and do it, 'cause we gotta-
just
we
have
gotta-
to do
yeah, we
it.
gotta
You
do
know,
it.
this is
What age is your motorhome?
15-year-old Fiat Ducato.
Oh my God!
Right.
So there you go. Let's just see if she makes it round. We'll come back and tell you about it afterwards.
Around the world. I thought you were talking about a state-of-the-art machine that's going
No.
to
No,
not break down.
the simpler the better.
It's got insurance for 5 years. So have you joined the AA? The RHD?
No.
Green flag? No. No, you don't.
We're very
think
lucky actually. Our first year of vanning, when we first did it, we did some research into insurance for our van.
Yeah.
And when we decided to do this crazy idea of travelling around the world, we contacted the insurance company we were with, A-Plan, and said we're either going to do it in a 4x4 converted or in Trudy. Which is the best way of doing it? Retrospectively, I don't want to find a problem. And he actually very kindly said,
whatever you do it in, we'll insure you.
There you go.
They pay
So
for all
although
that
they can't
insurance,
insure us
yeah.
for all of it, they're going to give us medical insurance and insure the European part. So thank you, A-Plan.
Right, and beyond Europe? Because there is quite a bit that you're going to do beyond Europe.
We'll be sharing that as we go along. But yeah, and in fact, if you ring A-Plan, the numbers on our website, they give you a preferential rate
If you
for
quote
your
Tread
van
the
insurance
Globe.
if you quote Tread the Globe. So if
I
that's
don't
helpful,
guarantee it's the cheapest.
we don't
but
get any
I
more
know
money
that.
or anything,
Yeah,
but
we don't
it
get
might be
anything
helpful
for it.
to you guys.
Right, has anybody else got a question? Anybody else want to try and talk them out of doing this?
Please don't.
What's your name?
We've gone too far.
How do you do?
Hi.
If it does take over a year, what happens with MOTs?
See, that is actually a very, very interesting question, because some of the people we have spoken to that have been on the road say, see, if you're in Europe, you have to come back to your vehicle has to be registered
Because it's
in
not
the
insured
UK.
if your MOT's out of date, but once you're out of Europe, that insurance thing is completely negligible anyway. Once we hit places like America or Australia, the only thing they're going to do, apparently, and we'll share again this, is they'll actually...
arrest us.
Hopefully not. What they're going to do is they're going to go on the British government website, and you know how you can do see if the vehicle's sawned or it's got road tax. That's what they're going to do. So we're going to work around that by...
So we're MOTing it on the day before we leave.
Yeah, and we're going to get
we're just going to be fingers crossed that you can do something local in Australia.
And we should be back in time.
Yeah, we can't. It's very hard actually to find this information out though, because you know Australia and things like that. When you get there, the system isn't designed for you to drive your vehicle around the world. I mean, they say if you take your vehicle to Europe for more than 12 months, you've actually exported it. But when we're driving around the world and we're coming back, we haven't exported it because we're coming back. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
We're driving through.
Brilliant, thanks. Have a great trip, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, one last question. Does anyone have a question?
We'll be hanging around afterwards anyway if anyone wants to have a chat.
Hang around over there if you want to have a one-to-one chat with them. So I think we need quite a big, reassuring round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Chris
Thanks for
and Marianne.
listening. Thank you.
Yeah, do follow them. And it's going to be incredible.
We survived talking on the stage on the Freedom to Go stand, and it all went very well. And a big thanks to Mark, who's kind of hiding in the back there, for filming it for us, which is really cool.
And also
I'm sure he did a
support.
fab job. And he was the one at the back going, woo! Yeah. Actually, there was more people than I thought there.
I know.
We had quite a good turnout.
You're so popular, what can I
Oh!
Celebrities.
It's because we're shy.
Tread the globe, follow them now, quick, before they get world famous.
Although I need a wee now.
What it does, the massages and muscles freezing your pelvic floor.
Making my bum shake.
I know, it does make your bum all flat as well.
Does it?
And
I
if you
feel like I'm
bend your
twerking.
knees- Bit more peachy.